Month to month, box to box. This is how we live in the GLP-1 community. We never know when our coverage is going to get yanked from underneath us. Last year, it got yanked out from underneath me, and I had to go the compound route. I had to go to a telehealth. And what alleviated that financial burden a little bit for me was using my HSA card. I went to the hsastore.com to look for some electrolytes. ShedRx is there. ShedRx, the telehealth, is HSA approved and FSA approved. Ah! So I'm going to ShedRx, right? And I'm going to use my HSA, which alleviates a huge financial burden for me. And if you're interested as well, go to shedrx.com. They'll take great care of you. They've got fantastic doctors. And you can use the link down below in our link tree, or just go to shedrx.com and use my code CAT50. Get your $50 off your first month.
You want to know a hack to get insurance to cover your GLP-1 prescriptions? Here's the truth. Most people get denied the first time that they try, and insurance companies are betting that you're just going to give up. But you do have rights, and you can appeal not just once, but multiple times. The problem is the process is confusing and it's time consuming, and a lot of providers just don't have the bandwidth to be able to fight through it with you. So that's why I partnered with Claimable. It's an easy to use tool that helps you build expert backed appeals proven to work. So don't give up on your shot at coverage. Exhaust your appeals. Go to getclaimable.com/plus sides to learn more and use code plus sides with a Z to save.
What are some of the traumas from obesity that can manifest in adulthood? And this could be like any sort of like mental or maybe even in professional or any sort of issues that may manifest from obesity from childhood into adulthood.
Yeah. So, I mean, really anything, right? If we really think about it, everybody's story is unique, of course, but things that I often hear, and if anybody's heard me speak before or certain posts that I share, I talk a lot about the language that we use, right? Or the language that we hear. So words matter. And I think something that and actually even a client earlier today, we had this discussion that the messages that she received from as a child, from others in her life, impacted her so much that now she still carries this, label of, you're fat, say, because she heard it so many times, right? Or should you be eating that? Things like that. So I think for one thing, a lot that people struggle, and this once again is anybody that struggles with their weight, is that for anybody really, we internalize what we hear. We internalize messages, and we are all listening and seeing messages thrown at us every day from everywhere, right? From family, from friends, from media, from social media, wherever we are. And our brain doesn't know how to interpret all of that. So it kind of does the best it can to interpret it. And then we internalize it. So I think one of the things that I often hear about and see is the emotional aspect of the words that are then carried into adulthood. And it doesn't define us, but it impacts who we are, right? It impacts our self-worth. It impacts our self-esteem, our body image, our mental health, our mental wellness. And I think that is something that's really common that actually isn't talked enough about, just in terms of those words and the language that others are speaking to us as a child now is carried. And that's what we hear all the time now when you do certain things, when you hear certain things. And it takes work to tweak that, but it's not impossible, right?
So it did feel impossible. I feel like
it does. It's hard.
Until I got on medicine. And then it put me in a place to be able to receive. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It makes sense. I actually got asked that question in the past, because I specialize in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a type of therapy that talks about the relationship of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors and how they're all linked. And I often get asked if somebody is not capable of doing cognitive behavioral therapy, because there's a cognitive piece that is, maybe a higher functioning type of person or somebody that's at a certain point in their life may or may not be able to do. Like, it's difficult to do with children, for instance, because the cognitive part isn't there.
Yeah.
If somebody is not capable of doing that, somebody had asked me, do you think the GLP-1s would allow somebody to then be able to do that work?
Yeah.
And you just said it, right? That I think some people, what's that?
It does. I see what you mean. Like it does
Yes.
turn that switch off. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's similar to other medications. Like if we think of somebody that struggles with depression, right? Like somebody that is so clinically depressed that they can't think and challenge their own thoughts because they're in a different mental state, or they can't just go out for a walk and do that behavioral part.
Yeah.
Sometimes a medication is needed
Yeah.
to then make it a little easier, right?
Yeah.
To then allow them to do the work. And I think that's what we need to think about with the GLP-1s also, is it falls in the same category, right? I often say I chose to be a psychologist and not a psychiatrist for a reason, but it doesn't mean I don't believe in medication,
Right.
right? Sometimes you need the medication first and then the therapy can follow, but
Sure.
all these options are out there. Just like the different treatments for obesity, the different tools, they're all available. Sometimes a combination of them actually work the best, as we know. But same thing goes with other mental illnesses. Like I said, depression, many times, like the treatment of choice, the best evidence-based treatment is a combination of medication and therapy.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
so
sure.
that was safe to say. That was the second part of my question, was to pair or partner up bariatric or GLP-1 therapy with mental health, with cognitive behavioral therapy. It's the whole spectrum, right?
It is.
Speaking of spectrum, my son is on the spectrum, and we do cognitive behavioral for him. And it's interesting when you were describing like the difference between children. My son and my husband both are, and it is they do have to get. I find like as he becomes more mature, he gets in a better place to be like, maybe,
Right.
And it's a very special skill set to help people go, to like sit back and like look at things from like a different lens, and then figure out, okay, now that I know this and I've made these connections that I couldn't make before. Like I remember when I didn't have food noise and I went to drive to get a special treat for myself on my mommy day out, getting my hair done. And I was like, oh, looking for my treat. And then I would go, oh, I want a hot dog. Oh, I want a boba tea, whatever it would be. Right. And I remember the moment that like emotional relationship is like severed like a cord, and I remember going, what am I going to do now? Like, what am I going to do? And then I was like, wait a minute, maybe I don't have to do anything. But I couldn't think like that before. I could never go, do I really want that? No, I really don't. It did not exist for me, but now I can. So like being able to do that mental work and those like better habits. And like, I don't even like to call the things that we did before, just because of what I've like been able to realize on this medicine and through therapy, right? Is that like, I don't even like to call those bad habits. To me, those are just sick people. Like I was a sick me doing what I could do to get by, and that's what I thought that I needed. And now I'm in a place where I don't have to do that anymore. And so, of course, when you get into a place like that and you've never been able to, and you're, 43 years old, you just want to scream it from the rooftops. And luckily there's a whole bunch of other people that wanted to do that too. And they're here with us today. So, but yeah, it's very cool. I love that whole skill set. And I think cognitive behavioral therapy is wonderful for anybody at any age.
And I love the way that you described food noise. And Lee, I know I said the same thing to you on the Oprah segment, that I loved the way you described it too. Because since and I'm very honest and transparent about it, since I haven't struggled with obesity, I haven't had that. But I love hearing how it's manifested in different people.
Yeah.
And because what you just said is so true. And I just had this call earlier today saying that, from what I understand, when people don't have this food noise anymore, it's like, well, now what do I do with my time? I don't have this heaviness. I don't have this extra mental weight on me, constantly thinking about what's next, what am I going to eat, where am I going to find the hot dog, all these things.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what you can do with that extra found time, or that space that now allows you to be like, I don't need the hot dog, but if I want it, I can have it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. The food noise becomes this impulsive thing. I need it now. I feel out of control.
Yeah.
Loss of control. And then it's like, oh, if I want it, but that's different.
That's different. And being able to gear shift, right? Exactly. That gear shift did not work for me.
Exactly.
But that's what the normies are like. That's what they are. They can hear shit.
Normies.
That's why when you would try to explain to the normies what this is all like, they're like, you couldn't always do that.
I didn't realize at first when you said normies, I was like, the what? But
Normies.
I get it.
Normal.
60% of America.
Yeah. So for my community that might be listening, the normies, I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure you're referring to the individuals who the calories in, calories out works.
Yeah.
It works for them, doesn't work for others.
Yes.
Got it. I like that.
Exactly.
They don't have metabolic disorders. That's the normies.
Exactly. Yes.
So here's the truth. I'm tired, but not like the didn't get enough sleep tired, although I have that too. I mean, the kind of exhaustion that feels like it's stitched into your bones. So for me, that's perimenopause. And honestly, also the high doses of GLP-1s haven't helped. And so I kept thinking, am I missing something? And it turns out, yeah, we naturally have NAD in our bodies. It's essential for energy, cellular repair, brain function. But as we age, we lose it, which of course is not fun. No bueno. That's why I've added NAD plus back in, and I've been going through Shed, which is a telehealth to do it, because this season of my life is about putting back what time or meds have taken from me. I'm not ashamed of it. Whether it's GLP-1, HRT, or NAD, I'm rebuilding the energy that I deserve to have. Now, listen, I'm not a doctor and I don't pretend to be one on this podcast. I always recommend checking with your medical provider to see if NAD is right for you. But if you go through Shed, you will meet with a licensed provider to be able to guide you safely. If you're feeling the same bone deep fatigue like I am, check out the NAD Plus with Shed. If you use my code, which is Kim40 at checkout, you're going to save 40%. It's also linked in my link tree. There's no shame in my game, just science, support, and reclaiming what's mine. I hope it works for you too. You want to know a hack to get insurance to cover your GLP-1 prescriptions? Here's the truth. Most people get denied the first time that they try, and insurance companies are betting that you're just going to give up. But you do have rights and you can appeal, not just once, but multiple times. The problem is the process is confusing and it's time consuming. And a lot of providers just don't have the bandwidth to be able to fight through it with you. So that's why I partnered with Claimable. It's an easy to use tool that helps you build expert-backed appeals proven to work. So don't give up on your shot at coverage. Exhaust your appeals. Go to getclaimable.com/plus sides to learn more and use code plus sides with a Z to save.